it's 9 p.m. At this time to English News for tonight headlines. We have inspection of general and technical secondary school for the international scene. European Union, 27 EU countries approves a historic recovery plan. Welcome to our newsroom. The Minister of Town Planning, Environment and Tourism, Acting Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, His Excellency Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa Hilm, paid an inspections visit this morning to the various general and technical high schools which are preparing to welcome on 1st August the students of the final years of secondary school and the first years of secondary school, accompanied by the Secretary General of the MENFOB, the Technical Advisor, and the Director General of Education. The Minister visited the Djibouti High School, Gabo Technical High School, and Hodan 4 High School, where he was able to see the installations of the hand washing stations provided for each establishment in the framework of provision of relating to the barrier measures against the spread of COVID-19. Delegation is also visit the training center in Bulaus from a housekeeping school which has produced some 14,000 washable masks for general, vocational and Arabic baccalaureate candidates. The general and vocational secondary school will open their door on Sunday, 1st August, through the countries for the revision of the baccalaureate examination syllabus before the examination is scheduled for the end of August. For his part, the Minister Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa Hilm took the opportunity of this visit to congratulate the various staff as well as officials of MENFOR for the commendable effort made through the period of confinement by ensuring the television and radio courses for these preventive measures in order to welcome people's teacher in the best conditions of safety before the baccalaureate examinations. He was particularly pleased and proud to see the Bulaus Training Center producing some 14,000 washable cloth masks. The Djibouti National Olympic and Sport Committee organized this morning at the People's Palace a workshop to reflect the representations of women in sport. This workshop, intended for leaders of the National Sports Federation, was attended by the Minister of Women and Family, Moumina Ahmed Hassan, the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, His Excellency Hassan Mohamed Kamil, the Mayor of Djibouti City, Fatma Awal Usman, the President of the National Olympic Committee, Aisha Garad Ali, as well as other high-ranking government officials. The aim of the meetings was to enable the federations to express their views on the proportion of women in their committee, to discuss the difficulties encountered in their participations and the solutions proposed in order to integrate them more fully into the decision-making bodies. At the end of the workshop, recommendations were adopted which will allow on improvement of the places on women in sports, which will nevertheless require the amendment of the statutes of the federation. For her part, the Minister for Women and Family, Moumina Ahmed Hassan, congratulated the President of the National Olympic, whom he said I congratulate in person for her reappointment to the International Organization of Olympic of the city. The President of the Federation of Djiboutian Women are strong, active, and rigorous, following the example of First Lady Khadim Mahmoud Haida, who spared no effort to the first Djiboutian for Development Society. The Minister for Women and Family, Moumina Ahmed Hassan, say I can only encourages you to invest more in sports since you are the essential pillars of the society. For his part, the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, Hassan Mohammed Kamil, for his part says for some years now, the question of women has been at the heart of all debates, he said. The Republic of Djibouti, Excellency Mohamed Gelle, a visionary statement has already made great strides in gender equality, which implies that women must enjoy the opportunity, choice, capability, power, and knowledge as equal citizens. For example, Djibouti is one of the few countries where a woman who holds the same positions of responsibility as a man receives the same salary. Therefore, in accordance with the policy of the head of state, I have worked to ensure that this equality is respected within my department, he said, and it is thus conscious and potentiality, seriousness and rigors in the work of women that I entrusted for the first time two key positions to women, the position of Secretary General and that of the management of Guled Stadium. The Directorate of Unit Medicine of the IDF hosted today, Tuesday, July 27 at 7 e.m. a ceremony to promote military health service staff to the next rank. The ceremony was presided over by General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of the General Staff of Army Forces. On the Djiboutian side, the ceremony was attended by the Chief of the Defense Staff, General Tahir Ali Mohammed, Colonel Mayor Ahmed Hassan Boulale, Director of the Army Health Services, Colonel Median Mohammed Saeed, Director of the Military Hospital, and some senior ADF officials. The guests were reduced to the strict minimum to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Upon his arrival, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, accompanied by the Chief of the Defense, carried out a review of troops. Then CMGA greeted the Djiboutian delegation. At the same time, CMGA proceeded to the handing over of the troops to the military health personnel who have undeniably invested bodies and soul in the fight against the coronavirus due to the pandemic of COVID-19, and in order to respect the barrier measures and social distancing, the bread were handed over by the hand of the General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim to the recipients. For his part, Captain Mohammed Ismail Absiye, Deputy Director of Unit of Medicine, speak on behalf of the Central Director of Armed Medical Services. He thanked the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces for accepting the invitations and expressed his deep gratitude to him on these blessed days on Islamic calendar. He stressed that this day has a special aspect. Let us notice. Colonel Mohammed Jama Adouali, commanders of the Republican Guard, received this morning, so Tuesday, July 21, His Excellency Lafi Al Mutari, Consul of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, accredited to Djibouti. Colonel Mohammed Jama Adouali welcomed His Excellency Lafi Al Mutari, the Consul of Saudi Arabia in Djibouti. The purpose of this visit was to strengthen the existing relations of cooperation and fraternity between the two parties and to share our experience in the field of security and defense. At the center of the discussions were the age-old ties of friendship, fraternity and cooperation existing between the two countries, but also the existing several salient points were also discussed, such as bilateral agreement between the two forces, namely the Republican Guard and the Saudi Royal Guard, in order to forge bond of brotherhood in the field of training of the Republican Guard staff. The parties reached a common view on the needs to give new impetus to the establishment of interactions and development of ties in military technical cooperation. Furthermore, the broader in scope multifaceted cooperation between the Republican Guard and Saudi Royal Guard. A ceremony to receive donations granted by the French Corporation took place at the National Directorate of Civil Protection. It was chaired by the National Director of Civil Protection, Colonel Mohammed Musa Mahmoud Musa, and the French ambassador in Djibouti, Mr. Arnaud Guillois, in the presence of the Civil Protection Officer, Colonel Mahmoud Musa Mahmoud, stressed that it is a real pleasure for him to receive the important batch of training materials in civil defense. Delivery of these training materials reflects the good cooperation that exists between our two countries, the Republic of Djibouti and France. These donations will undoubtedly make it possible to substantially improve civic relief training. It will also help strengthening and guarantee quality training for our country's personnel and all civilian military institutions. The material handed over these mornings are made up of various categories of mannequins to defibrillator and fake wound kits, bags for carrying materials, and masks for first aid exercises. These donations of equipment demonstrate the good cooperation between the civil protection and the French embassy beyond between the two countries, Djibouti and France. This delivery of first aid equipment will be completed during the last 4 months by the arrival of an expert missions for first aid training. For his part, Colonel Mahmoud Musa Mahmoud in his speech recalled that in the framework of cooperation aimed at professionalizing the Djiboutian civil defenses, the French embassy has played a major role. The senior officials of the protection were present at the ceremony of donations of equipment this morning at the headquarters of the civil protection. A joint mission initiated by the Ministry of Social Affairs Solidarity in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Interior, the Secretary of State for Decentralization, was held in Artas region in Hilbele and Gabla Kalan. The National Family Solidarity Program is an integrated program aimed at strengthening and consolidating human capital through monitoring, transfer, and accompanying measures. Today, the second cash transfers of the year 2020 has been coupled with medical services provided by the mobile health teams of Arta region. Households living in its remote localities have thus been able to benefit from medical consultations, pregnancy monitoring, prenatal and postnatal visits, and child care. This shows the success of integrations between the programs of different ministries at the level of the interior regions. Within the framework of the implementations of 2003 conventions for safeguarding the intangible cultural heritage was held Sunday mornings at Ali Sabih at the headquarters of Regional Council. This workshop on a pilot inventory of the Somali community intangible cultural heritage brought together more than 30 people, including traditional chiefs, young people, women, craftspeople, and holders of the traditional knowledge. Representative of civil society, cultural stakeholder, organized in partnership with UNESCO. This event was attended by second prefect of the region, Mr. Khadr Idris Suge, the Vice President of Regional Council, Mr. Nur Said Geldon, Director of Culture, Mr. Duali Hassan Ahmed, the Cultural Advisor, Mr. Idris Musa Ahmed. This event focused on the definitions of purpose of the 2003 conventions as well as on the different aspects of intangible cultural heritage in order to allow participants to better understand their implication in the realizations of this inventory. The young Artas people and led yesterday's in the directions of Obok, accompanied by Sub-Director of CDC of the region, Maulida Nadeye, arrivals in the Obok, accompanied by the Sub-Regional Director of the Secretary of State for Youth on Sport. On their arrival, delegation was welcomed by the head of the Regional Council of Obok, as well as the heads of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport of Obok. Twining between young people from the interior region symbolizes the establishment of permanent close links and exchanges between these two regions under the sign of exchanges within the framework of this twinning. The young people will be hosted by host family in Obok with a view to discovering the region's its culture, customs, typical cliches prepared with the fish and specialty of the regions of Obok. They will also get familiar with the local languages while practicing leisure activities, also to share the daily life of an Obok family. We have just learned with the sadness the death of Mr. Abdurrahman Hussein Ali, nicknamed Voici, on July 19 in Montreal, Canada. Following a long illness, the late Abdurrahman Hussein Ali was born on October 11 in 1957 in Djibouti. The deceased first worked at RTD as a sound operator from in 1979 to 1983, then as a civil servant at the Ministry of National Education from 1984 to 1986, and then at the Ministry of Housing as an accountant from 1986 to in 1997. The deceased left behind him four daughters, one boy, and three little girls. The deceased was the brother of Mariam Hussein Ali, a retired executive of the Presidency of the Republic, Ms. Khadra Hussein Ali, head of the Siem of Gabot, Muhammad Hussein Ali, known as Gaboni, Djibouti's representative to FIFA, and also the brother-in-law of our colleagues at RTD and VOA correspondent in Djibouti, Ramadan Musa Jama. The late Abdurrahman Hussein Ali was well known for his generosity and humanism within our large Djiboutian society. May the Almighty most merciful welcome him in his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. For the international scene, EU27 approves historic recovery plan deal, announced French-speaking Belgian Charles Michel, president of the European Council, on this Twitter's account. It took 4 days and 4 nights and many space, but the 27 EU leaders on Tuesday agreed on a historic plan to support their economies hit by the coronavirus crisis, based on the first time on a common debt deal, announced French-speaking Belgian Charles Michel, president of the European Council, on his Twitter account. President Emmanuel Macron followed suit on the same channel, saying it was a historic day for Europe. We have an agreement, and a good agreement, with a 2021-2027 budget on 1.74 billion, a recovery plan of 715 billion. Never before has the European Union decided to invest so ambitiously in the future, explained Belgian Prime Minister Sophie Wilmès at the end of fierce battles between the so-called frugal countries and the Franco-Germany couple. A compromise was finally reached at an extraordinary summit that began on Friday. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.